Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo and it's August 27th, 2024 and Barcelona just completed a full comeback against Rayo Vallecano in what was an incredibly difficult match. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Welcome to Barca News' post-match live analysis where we analyze Barcelona matches as soon as they end and where I also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section by reading your comments out loud, answering your questions, and getting a discussion going. This is different than Barca News podcast where I share Barcelona news, but I also get to interact with you people. Now, today we're going to be talking about the match between Barcelona and Rayo Vallecano, which just ended an hour ago with Barcelona completing a full comeback against Rayo Vallecano with goals of Pedri and a debut goal by Dani Olmo. Now, having said all that, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. All of this helps this channel continue to grow. Now, let's dive right into the match analysis because Barcelona today did something that they haven't been able to do in 3 seasons, which is to defeat Rayo Vallecano in their stadium, which is a very complicated stadium for Barcelona. It's been a very complicated stadium for Barcelona for quite some time, where Barcelona have not been able to defeat Rayo Vallecano at their home stadium in the last 3 seasons. But today, Barcelona did just that, breaking that bad streak of 3 seasons in a row with goals of Pedri and a debut goal by Dani Olmo. Now, the match did not start well. We had a very horrible first half, and that has been a pattern in this season so far. All 3 matches, Barcelona have started very slow, sleep at the wheel. Today was no different, and because of that, Rayo Vallecano were able to score a goal because they started firing on all cylinders as soon as the referee blew the whistle. They were consistently attacking, creating a lot of chances. There was a lot of disconnect between Barcelona's midfield and defense. The defense sometimes seemed to be very losing focus, making some silly mistakes, and there was a lot of loss of ball. In this lack of focus, this slow start to the match allowed Rayo Vallecano to score their first goal, but as usual, Hansi Flick realizing his mistakes in the lineup and the players making the right substitutions during the second half, and that way Barcelona were able to come back with goals of Pedri and with goal of Dani Olmo, and it could have been even 1-3 because Robert Lewandowski's goal was, in my opinion, unfairly ruled out, but we will talk about that a little bit later. Now, some of the mistakes I think that Hansi Flick made was the start of Gerard Martin in the place of Alejandro Balde. I'm guessing he did that for rotational purposes. But the reason I say it was a mistake because Gerard Martin, he looked a little bit out of his depth. He is inexperienced. It's his first time first division football. It was his first time starting a match in first division football. But also you can't put the full blame on him because he also looked very alone at many moments. He looked like he had no help when he would attack. There was nowhere to help him. And when the ball was lost, he would have to track all the way back without any help. And that has to do with the fact that we don't have a specialist in the left wing position. Ferran Torres was playing in that match, but Ferran Torres contributed to the match as much as I contributed to the match by watching it on my cell phone. Now, the other mistake, I think it was having once again Rafinha start in the attacking midfield position and Ferran Torres start in the left wing. Because now 3 matches into La Liga, I think we know that Ferran on the left wing does not work. I think we should stop trying starting Ferran on the left wing. We should probably start Ferran any position. I think a better position for Ferran Torres would be maybe handing out the bottles of water, maybe towels. I think that's a better position for Ferran than actually on the left wing. And we have Rafinha on the attacking midfield position behind Lewy. It's not working. On the left wing, on the other hand, absolutely lethal. We saw that in the match against Athletic Club de Bilbao. We saw it again, and we saw it today again when Rafinha moved to the left wing. He was 10 times better than he was playing in that attacking midfield. Of course, that's mostly due to the fact that Dani Olmo was not registered in previous 2 matches. Fermin Lopez had just came back from the Olympics, from vacation. So that's probably why Hansi Flick insisted on Rafinha in attacking midfield and Ferran on the left wing. But now that we have both players available, I think we could start starting Rafinha on the left wing and having either Dani Olmo or Fermin Lopez, or maybe even Pedri. But most likely Pedri is going to start as a double pivot, especially now after Marc Bernal's injury, which again, we will talk about it a little bit later. Now, absolutely amazing match in the second half by Barcelona, completely different than the first half, a completely different team. And I have to say, the positives, and I talked about two of the positives in the last match review that we did. First of all, we said the conditioning. We see how teams start to slow down, where Barcelona keeps on going. We also talked about the system. The team finally has an identity where it doesn't matter what players start, it doesn't matter what players play in what position. The team continues to play exactly the same. Even after the substitutions are made, the team continues to play exactly the same, because that's what happens when you develop an identity for your team. That's what happens when you develop a system for your team, and where all your players know exactly what to do. So whether you change out players or you change out position of the players, it doesn't matter. The system continues to work. But the third thing I want to mention, which I hadn't mentioned before, is, and this is of course a Hansi Flick effect, we're starting to see more of a competitive mentality. And that's something that was very, very lacking last season. Saw Barcelona that started out losing. They didn't give up, they kept fighting. They scored the first goal, now it's a draw. Continue to fight, scored the second goal, was ruled out, continued to fight, scored another goal. And even when Barcelona were up 1-2, they continued to try to generate chances. This is completely different from last season's Barcelona, where when they would score a goal, they would completely fall asleep at the wheel, and then the other team would be able to either tie us or score another goal and beat us. So that's another thing that I've noticed under Hansi Flick, not just the conditioning, not just the development of a system of play and an identity, but now we're seeing a more competitive Barcelona that does not give up and continues to fight, continues to try to generate chances, continues to try to score goals, even when they are up and even when they are winning. So absolutely amazing second half by Barcelona. An amazing job by all the players. We'll talk about more specific players in a little bit once we talk about the lineup. But first, let's do some comments, and then we will talk about the formation and the lineup that Hansi Flick chose for today's match. All right, let's see. Lobo says, Flick, please don't ever play Ferran again. He's a shark with no teeth. He's useless. It's like we're playing with 9 men. I would say he's more of a vegetarian shark, maybe, if you want to call him that, or a vegan shark. But shark without teeth also works. GA says, my guy Mo, I'm watching from Cadiz. Do you think we need to sign another midfielder if Bernal is out this season? Or is there anyone else in La Masia? I don't think we need to sign another midfielder. But if Bernal is out for the rest of the season, we'll talk about it in a little bit. I think we have Marc Casado that can play in his position alongside Pedri in that double pivot. We have Frankie, who's set to come back pretty soon. We know Frankie plays best as a double pivot. And then, of course, we do have Gabi, who can also play as a double pivot. Of course, Gabi will take him a little bit longer to recover, but we have plenty of options. I don't think we need to sign a midfielder. Plus, I don't even think we can sign a midfielder because, the situation of the club. Gio says, we currently have Dani, Pedri, Casado, and maybe Pablo Torre. Heard he got foot injury before the match for the game against Real Valladolid this Saturday. We just got to make it on break. I agree 100%. We have plenty of options. And I think it's starting to look pretty competitive and pretty exciting, especially in the attacking midfield position where we have Pedri, Fermin, and Dani Olmo can all play in that position. All 3 excellent attacking midfielders that can fulfill that role. And double pivot, again, we have Gabi, we have Frankie, we have Marc Casado, and even Pedri, who can play in that position as well. So we have plenty of options. That midfield is pretty covered, and it's pretty covered with some incredibly talented players. It's kind of like how what Real Madrid are doing right now. They have plenty of options in the attacking front. We have plenty of great options in the midfield. Now, Dress says Rafinha was on a different level tonight, Mo, and Dani Olmo already proved he's heavily matched for Barca. I always told people. Again, Rafinha, I liked his second half much better than the first half. I think he's definitely not cut out to be an attacking midfielder. That's not his position, so it's normal. He's much, much better on the left wing. As far as Dani Olmo, very happy with his debut, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. This was only his first match. He only played 1 half. Let's see if he can continue being consistent. I'm sure he will, but I'm just saying, let's not count our chickens before our eggs have hatched. Is that how the saying goes? I think so. Anyways, John says, more. Why is our coach, Flick, really like to start Ferran? Honestly, I don't like it. I pray that Pedri's not injured and Marc Bernal too. again, I think it has to do with availability of players. When we first started, Pedri was still not fully ready to start matches. He is now. Fermin Lopez had just come back from vacation, so he wasn't ready to play yet. He is now. Dani Olmo wasn't ready, and he was not registered. He is now. So I think it has to do with just availability of players. Now that all these players are available, I think we're going to start seeing less and less of Ferran Torres. All right, let's get back and talk about the formation because this is what Hansi Flick started the match with. Mark Under to stay in, of course, on goal. Jules Koundé as a right back. Coarsi and Inigo Martinez as our two center backs. Gerard Martin in the left back position over Alejandro Valde. Bernal and Pedri in a double pivot. Rafinha, Ferran, and Lamine as a front three, all behind Robert Lewandowski as our center forward. Now, I do have to mention, not the best of matches for Koundé. I think this was one of his worst matches in a very long time. There was a lot of ball loss. It's a lot of bad decisions. Not a good match by Jules Koundé, but he's had amazing matches since the second half of last season. And, every player is about to have a bad match. So we cannot really complain. Again, Gerard Martin looked alone at many, many times, and that I think cost him a lot. Also, that inexperience was very evident when he was out there. It's going to take him some time. It's his first season, first division, but definitely once Balde came in, things completely changed. And then let's talk about Dani Olmo, because his debut today, coming back home after many, many years being away, finally registered. By the way, he was registered today. I know a lot of you were commenting yesterday on the live stream. Dani Olmo's registered, Dani Olmo's registered. A lot of comments in the video. As of last night, he was not. The news was that La Liga were about to approve his registration, not that he was registered. As of today, he was. Dani Olmo has been registered in the place of Andreas Christensen, since Christensen is going to be out at least 2 months due to injury. So Barcelona have used that space that Christensen's salary occupies in a wage bill to register Dani Olmo. We'll see how they deal with that during the second half of the season when Christensen is back. That's going to be a problem. It's kind of like kicking the can down the road. But hopefully by then the Nike deal will be approved. And if it is, then we will have no problem in registering Dani Olmo the normal way. Also, Inigo Martinez, he needs to be registered the normal way because he's also registered in the place of Ronald Araujo, who will also miss the first half of the season. But Dani Olmo, with his debut, hitting the bar once, scoring a goal, as soon as he came in, completely changed the face of the match. He organized the team. He pretty much helped apply Hansi Flick's vision for how the team should play. And he was everywhere. Because at first, when Barcelona signed Dani Olmo, we were wondering, where's Dani Olmo going to play? Is he going to play on the left? Is he going to play on the right? Is he going to play in the middle? Or we got our answer. And the answer is everywhere. Because Dani Olmo today was everywhere. He was attacking from the right. He was attacking from the left. He was attacking from the middle. He was coming back down, helping organize the midfield, distributing the ball. Absolutely brilliant debut by Dani Olmo. And that goal, my God, the way he just stops, controls the ball, sends it in the far corner. Absolutely amazing debut by Dani Olmo. And I have to say, I'm very excited. I know at the beginning I was complaining that Barcelona maybe shouldn't have spent that money they didn't have on a player we didn't need. Again, there was never criticism against Dani Olmo. I always thought Dani Olmo was a great player, but, I guess I'm going to have to eat my words. But again, this is only his first match. Let's wait to see how he keeps doing. I hope he keeps being consistent. I hope he keeps giving us performances like he did today, because if he does, then we have a pretty lethal attack in the front. Robert Lewandowski, not as active as before. He did miss a clear chance from a cross from Rafinha, and it's a shame that his goal was ruled out, because I believe that was a legal goal. And not to mention, that would have put him at 4 goals in 3 matches. But I expect to see a lot more from Lewandowski, especially under Flick. And I have no doubt that if he continues with the same level of performance that he's been giving us, he's undoubtedly will put up 25, maybe 30 goals, especially with Dani Olmo playing behind him, which I'm guessing we're going to see a lot more of that. Now, as far as the MVP of the match, that's going to be very difficult. To me, I think it was Marc Bernal. But that's hard. There were so many good performances. I think Pedri had a really great second half. Olmo, obviously, a great debut during the second half. Rafinha, second half, much better than his first. A lot of good performances. But to me, Marc Bernal was undoubtedly the best on the field. And speaking of Marc Bernal, you saw his injury. Did not look good. He could not put weight on his leg. He had to be carried out. He was limping. And now initial reports are saying that he's torn his ACL. If that's true, that means his season is over. Now, we won't know for sure until tomorrow when more medical exams are done, but it's not looking good for Bernal, which is an absolute shame because it was looking like we have finally found a solution to our pivot position since Sergio Busquets left. And now we get hit with this horrible, horrible news. Hopefully it's not true, but it's not looking good. Now, as far as the MVP for Rayo Vallecano, Sotogrado. The best player on Rayo Vallecano was the referee, Sotogrado, who spent the whole match just making our lives hell. Like I said, that goal, that Lewandowski goal that was ruled out, absolute bull. Kunde was looking at the ball. He put his foot down because otherwise, what is he going to do? Hop on one foot. Barely steps on the toes of the Rayo Vallecano defender. Apparently, that was enough to rule out a goal, which is not. When a mistake is made and you go to the VAR, there has to be convincing evidence to change the decision. You guys saw it. I saw it. I did not think that was convincing at all. But if that's enough to cancel a goal, then how about the foul against Dani Olmo? Where Rayo Vallecano defender stretches his leg, he keeps his leg there, tangles up Dani Olmo, and he falls. By the same standard, that should have been a penalty kick. How about Rafinha? He was pushed down in the penalty box. How about Lewandowski? He was pushed down in the penalty box. So if we're going to apply the same flaky rules, then Barcelona should have had at least 3 penalty kicks. Not to mention the horrible foul that was committed against Pedri. In that case, that should have been a red. So, good job to Sotogrado, the best player on the Rayo Vallecano team. But here's the thing. This is something I talked about a lot last season when people, with all the Xavi apologists, used to be like, well, it's the refs, it's not Xavi's fault. And I used to say, when a team does its job, the ref becomes irrelevant no matter how hard he tries to sabotage your match. And that's exactly what happened today. Sotogrado went out of his way to complicate things for us, but the team continued to play, continued to fight. They did their job, and we still walked away with 3 points. And now it's something to always, always remember because that's something that Johan Cruyff always insisted on. He never cared what the referees did. He never cared about whether the referee was good or bad because he always, always believed that if a team does its job, the referee becomes irrelevant. And today was proof of that. So I'm glad that we have a new coach who wasn't just going to throw his hands up in the air, get himself expelled, and then just blame it on the ref. Anyways, that is all. Let's do a few more comments, and then we will end this. I do have to make a video later tonight. Lots of news, so stay tuned to the channel. But let's do a few more comments, and then we will end the live stream. But we have Zinge says, great fight from the boys. Kunde struggled a bit with a couple of misplaced passes that almost harmed us. Not convinced with the Martin guy leading to that goal. Otherwise, we move on. Gerard Martin, like I said, his first time starting in First Division. I think it was just a matter of inexperience. Plus, again, he looked very alone there because it was him and Ferran on the left side. That's all I have to say. If it was maybe him and Rafinha on the left, that would have worked out a lot better. But when you're being paired up with Ferran, might as well be paired up with a blow-up goal because that's how much Ferran Torres contributed to the match. Dre says someone has to hold the ball and let attention be on him. That's his magical way of ghosting them. Yamal was still unstoppable regardless. I don't think I understood the first part of your comment, but I absolutely agree about Lamine Yamal. He is unstoppable. Even when he loses the ball, he still continues to try. He gets the ball back, continues to try to dribble, and he's just fearless. A lot of players, they try to dribble past someone, they lose the ball, and then they lose that confidence in themselves, and they start being a lot more cautious. They start passing instead of trying to go through. Not Lamine. He continues to try time and time again. If he fails, he tries again. And if he fails again, he tries again. He does not care. He's an absolutely unstoppable beast. And remember, he's only 17 years old. We haven't even seen the best out of Lamine, and we're not going to see the best out of Lamine for another maybe 5-6 years. So if we're seeing this kind of level of play right now, imagine what we're going to see in 5-6 years when he actually reaches his prime. Absolutely insane, which also goes to another point, which I've been talking about a lot. We cannot neglect La Masia ever again. That's something that happened under Bartomeu. That's something that happened under Sandro Rosé. We cannot repeat that mistake again. Because look at all the players that we have from La Masia, and they are some of our best players. Bernal, Cuarcí, Valde, Gavi, Lamin, even Dani Olmo. Remember, he came up to the Masia. Sure, he left, but he's still an academy product. And we cannot ever make that mistake again of neglecting our academy because the answer is there. The best Barca in history was all made up of La Masia players. Don't forget that. Richard says, Mo, you were certain we didn't need Olmo at some point. We have trust Flick wanting to sign him. He clearly has a plan for him on the team. Let's trust Flick. Actually, to be more clear, Olmo was never Flick's request. Just to set the record straight. Olmo was Deco's bet. It was Deco who wanted Olmo, and it was Deco who insisted on a signing of Olmo. And Deco brought it up to Flick. He's like, hey, I want to bring this guy. And Flick was like, okay. Like, I don't mind having him. He's obviously a good player. And again, as I've said a million times, my criticism about Barcelona signing Olmo was never against the player. I never said that the player was bad or that, he's going to be horrible. My criticism was always, why are we spending 55 million on a position that's covered? Because it is covered. We have Pedri, we have Fermin, and at the time, we had Gundogan. So we had 3 players for one position. So why did we spend 55 million on bringing a 4th one? That was my criticism. My criticism was never against Olmo because Olmo had a brilliant Euros. Let's see. Noé Sanchez says, I think we are better off experimenting with our surplus of midfielders or even pushing Balde up on the left wing. I think Balde is better as a fullback than he is on the left wing. But as far as experimenting, you can experiment up to a certain point. And then after that, you have to realize what works and what doesn't and start using what works, right? You cannot have a winning team unless you know who your 11 starters are. And of course, at first, it's going to take you time. It's normal. But after a while, once you see what works, you have to start using what works. Like I said at the beginning of the video, Ferran on the left does not work. We need to stop trying that. Rafinha in attacking midfield does not work. Rafinha on the left wing, much more lethal. So let's start starting Rafinha on the left, and let's start having Dani Olmo, Pedri, Fermin, whoever in attacking midfield. Because by the way, Fermin only had a few minutes, but in those few minutes, he looked very impressive. So we have options for that position, options that we know that work. Let's try them out instead of trying different things that might not work. Pablo says, Gio, we'll see. I'm hoping they slip in that role like a glove. Hopefully I'm wrong. Huh? I don't think I understood your comment, but if you want to clarify. Timothy says, hi, Mo. I believe Dani Olmo will be the best signing of the summer. The guy is in his best form of his life and at the right club. He is in his prime. I'll tell you that. So, and if he ends up being the best signing of the summer, I mean, we only had 2, then I'm all for it. Let's see. One more, and then we'll end this. Warrior says, love your work, bro. Keep it up today. Was clear evidence that Ferran needs to be on the bench. More like Ferran needs to be somewhere else. But unfortunately, who's gonna buy him? No one. Sullivan says, hey, Mo, I'm seeing a group of guys who are all playing with their hearts. These guys have become fearless under Flick's leadership. I'm loving every single minute of this new Barcelona squad. I couldn't agree more, my friend. And one last comment. But Fake Ministry says, it's a shame the way the referees are doing everything to frustrate us. Flick make these guys play with purpose. I agree with you. But like I said before, when you do your job, when you play well, the referee becomes irrelevant. And today was proof of that. Anyways, that is all for the match review. I will be uploading another video later tonight with more news. Thank you for tuning in, for your comments, for your likes, your subscriptions. Don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button if you haven't yet. And as always, Visca Barça.